Everybody to the second semester. I'm Mrs. Barra. I'll be your 8th grade language arts teacher this semester. Many of you had me last semester too, so I'm not new to you. I want to talk about a couple of things today before you really get into the semester. First thing is the gradebook and how to access it. I know we've discussed it several times, but I want to make sure everybody is on the same page with how to find it. I want to talk about the dynamic scheduler, which is in your Start Here section. That is a little new because last semester it was not available. I want to talk about how to get into Class Connect, which is where I will do the majority of my discussions. How to write academically. iReady, which you guys did last semester, and it's ready again for you, and I just want to touch on a few things and some class changes if you need to make those. So first off, let's start with our gradebook. To access your gradebook, you want to log into your class. So like this one, you just hit the start your class just like usual. You normally come up to, well, it is set to go right to the announcements page. From there, you'll go onto this left-hand side and you'll see the My Grades section. So you want to click there. This brings you to your current grades, which of course this is the first semester or second semester. You haven't just begun, so there's not going to be much in here. The first thing you're going to see is the end date. That will be important, so you want to note that. If it's blank, it's just because I haven't filled it in yet, and you're probably brand new as in from the last couple of hours, and I will of course fill that in quickly. You'll see your average grade. That is based off of how you've done in assignments you've turned in so far. Your cumulative grade will look very low, and you really don't need to worry about that until the end of the semester, just like last semester. This one is your grade based off of all of the points available for the semester. So it'll be low in the beginning, and eventually these two will match, and that's when you've hit 100% completion. And then of course you have all of your assignments down here of ones you've turned in or have yet to turn in. If you want to, you can of course filter these. If you just want to see what's been graded, that'll be right here. If you want to see what's coming up, those will have all the assignments you have left to do. And if you've submitted anything, you can look here. I do ask that you give me about 3 days to have everything graded, so don't send it in and send me an email right away asking me to grade that for you. Give me at least 3 days. So that's how you find your grade book. Again, you'll see your end date, your average grade, your cumulative grade, and your assignments. It's very important that you know how to access that. And again, that's what it'll look like. Next, I want to talk about our schedule. Now, of course, you want to start where it says Start Here, right above all of your units. You will see a few things here for you. The course schedule here is one I've created for you. This is the one I recommend for you to use. It is a PDF file. If that does not work for you, let me know and I'll send you another copy in a different format. This is for 16 weeks and it is by week. It does not have any discussions or portfolios in them because that has been taken out, just like it was last semester. So this one only has 4 assignments per week. Sometimes you'll have 2 graded assignments, 2 quizzes, maybe 3 quizzes, a writing assignment. Just kind of depends. But it gives you a good rundown of where you should be and when. You can print this off and put the week's dates right underneath that, crossing things off as you get to it. Now the new part to this is right here where it says schedule. This is the dynamic schedule. By that I mean you can change it. So you want to enter your new start date and end date to view your customized course schedule. So obviously everybody's starting today, which is January 3rd, 2017. Make sure you do say 17 and not 16. And then your end date, which we discussed finding in your My Gradebook. So let's go with, say, the 12th. People have different end dates, so you want to make sure you have your correct one. And then you hit submit. It'll now give you a day-by-day schedule. So on Wednesday, they want you to do these quizzes and discussions. And that's where the issue comes in here. Because this one does have the discussions and portfolios. You aren't doing those assignments though. They won't even show up in your unit for you to do. So go ahead, if you print that off, if you want to do this dynamic scheduler, feel free, print it off, cross those off right away. You aren't doing those, they do not count towards your grade at all. So again, this is the dynamic one, which you can change. So say your grade, or you get out the 26. So you can see it has different ones now. So you want to make sure that you are, I don't know why it's the third, or not the third there, but you want to make sure that you've got the right dates up here to see what your task would be day by day. This is now doing it every Friday. What would we do every Friday? This one is the one I highly recommend though. It has about 4 assignments per week. In fact, it is 4 assignments per week every week. It's for 16 weeks. It does not, of course, include people's spring break because that varies. So you want to make sure that you've got all that information available for you too. And to give you an example of the differences between the two, this would be the one I showed you the first time versus mine. So I prefer if you used my calendar. However, for students, especially if you've come in late to the semester, you might want to use this one. Just make sure you have it correct, because I've seen people have the wrong end date and believe that they don't have things due until much, much later, but that is not the way that goes. So make sure you put that in correctly. The next thing I want to talk about is Class Connect. Last semester, I held all of the unit overviews in that, and I will do that again this time. I'm also going to have novel discussion groups, as well as other little mini class sessions about some things that I found from last semester. So to access that, you go into the Class Connect area, which is on the left-hand side again, underneath Staff Information. And click there. As you can see, I already have the Unit 1 set up. Unit 1 is going to be discussed tomorrow. It'll be 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, noon Mountain Time, and 11 Pacific Time. So just make sure you know what time you are in, and then adjust accordingly. You are allowed in 15 minutes beforehand, and I do recommend doing that. If you look here, you can see there's also a place here for recordings. That will have, if you can't go to this scheduled session tomorrow, it'll move itself into recordings, and I will convert it to an MP3 and an MP4 so you can see the video or just listen to the audio. So if you can't make it to any of those at any time, it will be available here for you too. Now, if you have not gone in and done this before, you want to make sure to log in 15 minutes before a session. You'll see this purple symbol next to the session. You click on that button, it'll bring you to a new screen that says Join Room. But it also has the download the Blackboard Collaborative Launcher if this is your first time. That is what you need to download. Click on that, it'll bring up another screen. It says Download Launcher. You want to download it. Once it's loaded, you run the program. Then you go back to the website and click Join Room. It'll give you a new file that'll download. Once it's completed, you click it. It takes a moment for it to verify the program, ask for permission to run, and then it'll load. Your screen may look a little bit different because I'm the moderator in here, but it'll basically be the same thing. And then you'll be ready to go. And again, that is the majority of my sessions will be in Class Connect. It's what I prefer to use, so make sure that you have that downloaded and ready to go. Now, last semester, I noticed the writing samples people were turning in were not academic writing. So I want to discuss what I mean by academic writing versus how you may write to a friend. So academic writing is formal writing. You do speak differently to other people, and you will speak differently to, say, grandparents versus young cousins or young friends or your peers or your parents. You might speak the same to everybody. But what I'm asking for then, if that's the case, is for you to write formally from me. It's academic writing. So here are some examples of what I mean. Capitalization needs to happen in everything you turn in for me. Proper nouns, which are names, places, and places, need to be capitalized. So my example here, my name is Nichelle Barra and I work and live in Colorado. Colorado is a place, Nichelle Barra is my name. Those should be capitalized. The first word of a sentence is capitalized, my in this case. And I by itself is always capitalized. If you are going to write informally, then it's fine. You don't need to worry about even punctuation. It could look like this. But that's informal writing, which you are not turning into me. You should be turning in academic writing. I'm also looking for complete sentences. Complete sentences have a subject, which is normally a noun that tells what the sentence is about, and a verb, what the subject is doing. So you've got, I took the bus to work today. I understand that I took the bus to work today. So you've got your noun and you've got your verb. Informal writing will start with words like because, or when, or if, something like that. Not always. But the point is that it'll be incomplete. So because my car is in the shop. What did I do because my car was in the shop? It's missing that part and you're left hanging when you read the sentence. I will grade it based on that sentence alone. Even if this was right in front of it in a paragraph, this is still incomplete, even though I do know what you mean. Because I'm looking for academic writing, I want that to be in there as well. Now, if you wanted to say, because my car is in the shop, comma, I took the bus to work today, that's fine. That's complete. So you want to make sure to read it out loud. If it's missing a part, you just want to add it in. If you're confused about any of those, there are some things that will be done in grammar in your units this semester too, that'll be talking about this. Now, one other thing I want you to do is to use part of the question in your answer. For the unit exams, part 2, those are small essays that you have to do, about 1 to 2, maybe sometimes 3 paragraphs long, or just a question. Sometimes it doesn't even state how long it should be, just you answer the question. I want you to use part of the question in your answer. So here's an example. Why did Anne Frank and her family hide in the annex? The answer, using part of the question in your answer, would be Anne Frank and her family hid in the annex because her sister Margaret was called to a German work camp. So as you can see, I took part of this and put it into the question, or to the answer, excuse me. So I took part of that question and put it into my answer, which is what I want you to do. In informal writing, you would answer something like this. They hid because their sister had to go to a work camp. Although the question gives me who they are, you need to rewrite that in your answer. And I know that may seem tedious and doesn't make sense, but the point of it is that you focus your writing when you are using part of the question in your answer. You're focused and it's more clear, which is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for how well you can communicate, and that is an example of that. Abbreviations, you should not be using abbreviations in academic writing up to a certain point. Things like state names should always be spelled out. For example, I'm originally from Michigan, but lived in Florida and Indiana before moving to Colorado. This is academic writing. This one has them all in their state abbreviations. That's fine for informal writing, but not for something you turn in for an assignment. The exception would be if you were doing a research project, for example, on the National Basketball Association. You can say it once in the beginning, like the National Basketball Association, blah, blah, blah. After you've named it fully, you put in parentheses the abbreviation, and then after that you can use the abbreviation. But for things like state names, you always want to spell those out in academic writing. Now, slang and informal words, I'm sure most of you already have guessed that that is not okay in academic writing. You don't want to start with, well, or you know what I mean, or anyways. Anyways is not a word, by the way. Don't use it. Those types of things are fine in text or messaging me and say Google Hangouts, that's fine. But when you are turning in something in formal writing, you do not want to include that. So instead of starting with well, if you take that off, it still makes sense, as you can see from my example. So don't use it. There's no need to explain further can be a better way of saying I won't explain further, you know what I mean. I would prefer you never to use the phrase you know what I mean because if you have to say that, that usually means I don't, or you feel like you might not have fully explained it enough, but you don't want to talk about it anymore. So go back and reread what you just wrote. Make sure it's clear. If you feel like it needs more explanation, go for it. But do make sure that you are always explaining it as best as you can. And don't end it with, you know what I mean. And again, anyways is not a word. So don't use that. Now, the exception to this rule would be writing short stories or stories in general and poetry. In short stories, you've already seen this done. For example, in Gumption, that was written in dialect. So it was with slang, which is perfectly fine. That's acceptable for that because of the audience and the type of writing it was. That's an exception to the rule. You just want to make sure you know what the audience is and the assignment, if that would be okay. If you're not sure, just let me know. Give me an email or something and I can definitely answer that question. Remember that I'm your teacher and I'm grading you on how well you communicate to me. So you always want to reread your work before sending it in to me. This is something that a code teacher once called code switching. You speak one way with friends, older family members, teacher, your boss, your peers, your cousins. You speak differently with different people. You know what is acceptable to mention or not mention. You know when it's acceptable to say one word and not to another person. That is what I'm asking for here. So academic writing is formal writing. Be sure to be clear, use correct spelling. You all have spell check available to you because you are all using your computers. So make sure you use that, please. Correct capitalization is required, and complete sentences. Leave out the slang or other informal writing. Again, if you're not sure, just ask me and I'll be able to help you out, or you can find another way to say something. Now, the last two things that we're going to talk about are just some semester checks for you. iReady is ready for you guys to go ahead and start your diagnostic. I'd like you to spend about 45 minutes per week until it's finished. It's different from last time where it was all in 1 week. Now you have until the end of January to complete it, but you do need to begin that this week. So I'm going to start checking to make sure people have logged in and begun the diagnostic. If you haven't got the login information anymore, you've lost or something, just let me know and I'll send it along to you. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, please send me an email and I'll make sure to get you the information. Now, if you notice anything going over your schedule for this semester, if you notice anything's not correct, you can let me know and I'll send along a form that your counselor advisor will then get and they'll be in touch with you on how to change whatever needs to be changed. If you're a semester-paced student, which most of you are, you have 10 days to complete that, and block-paced students have 3 days. So to review once more, your grade book and how you get there, it's going to be right here in the My Grades. Make sure you are well aware of that for all of your classes. Your schedule is in your start here. Again, I prefer that you use this schedule and not the dynamic one. This one is going to be helpful for you in that it's 16 weeks. It has everything already for you. I do like assignments turned in by Friday. Of course, I welcome any earlier assignments, and that'll give me the weekend to get everything graded for you. Do note that you will have to have the book Lord of the Flies in Unit 3, which is about week 7. Before week 7, you want to have that. And of course, here's your Class Connect, where we have our discussions, and in fact we'll have our Unit 1 discussion tomorrow at noon Mountain Standard Time. I do hope you guys can make that. And if you have any questions, just click in the staff information. You'll find my email, my phone number, and some little bit of information about me. If you are going to message me on Google Hangouts, make sure that you use this message. I hope you all have a great semester, and I look forward to working with you. Bye!